Hello, guys. Welcome to this new edition of Mind Podcast. This is Aadit Kapadia, and I have a very special panel with me. Before I introduce the panel, I want to introduce my co-compadre, who's going to be my co-conductor of the debate. And wherever I slip up, she's going to help me get out of the puddle that I've put myself in. It's author, columnist, poet. A Mind Podcast alumni, Mind Makers columnist, and someone whose views I always look forward to, Dimple Kaul. Hi, Dimple, how are you doing?
Thank you, Aadit. That was very, very kind of you. Namaste, everyone. And I am looking forward to today's Mind podcast.
And without further ado, let me introduce our two guests on the podcast. First, I would like to introduce Hari Kiran Vadlamani ji, who's an entrepreneur, activist, who's with Indic today, various Indica, various platforms. If I start looking the platforms, then 10-15 minute idhar hi lag jayenge. But he's very passionate about art, philosophy, culture. He has set up foundations along with Advaita Academy and so forth, and takes special interest in and has been on Mind Podcast interviews before. You've all heard him. So Hariji, welcome to Mind Podcast. Great to have you.
Thank you.
And with him, we have Ms. Shri Danji Thottapalli ji, who is with Indica Pictures. Now, what is Indica Pictures, you might be wondering? Well, that is why we are here. So we're going to talk about that first. But let me introduce him first. He's been with major Hollywood studios for more than 10 years. He was with NBC Universal and currently with Sony Pictures. And he's had a lot of experience along with Hollywood, working in Indian film festivals and so forth, and carries with himself more than a decade of experience. So welcome, Danji, to Mind Podcast. Great to have you.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you very much, Aadit.
So the reason why we are here, and by the time you guys the podcast will be up, this is going to be it's going to be a very volatile week with the US elections, Bihar elections results, and everything going on. So after all that political volatility, I think we need a little bit of tehrav in our life. And at the perfect time, on from 12th to 15th November, is coming the Indica Film Utsav, presented by Indica Pictures, and it's a 4-day festival of movies, short films, so forth. So we are with the two people behind the whole festival. The very ambitious plan of putting a festival all online, where Indics across the world can come, register for free, and watch the films. I mean, it sounds like a terrific thing that people should not be missing out on. So having said that, I want to delve into it and give you guys first a little bit of if you guys can just give our viewers, listeners, an overview of what they can expect, and then we'll go into the specifics of it. So whoever of you wants to go first.
I would defer it to Hari Kiran to kick it off.
This is also me passing the buck. That's why I don't have to pick who goes first. So, Hari Kiran, you go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just want to, Danji will talk specifically about the Film Utsav itself. I just want to give a context to how Indica Pictures has come into being, and how does it fit into the overall activities and overall strategy of Indic Academy. Just a couple of lines on that. As you know, we are 5 years old now. We are doing a lot of work across the spectrum, intellectual, cultural, and spiritual spectrum. And also, we are looking at preservation, protection, and promotion. So all those dimensions also. So the way we're looking at Indic Academy is we look at it from a perspective of centers, thought centers, domain specific. So we have an Inter-Gurukula University Center. We have a soft power center. We have a center for law and justice. We have a center, now we are setting up a center for consciousness studies. So these are centers that we have. We have Center for Indigenous Sustainability. These are centers which are domain specific and which work across the value chain of doing research, publications, courses, networks, then events. So this is the value chain in which these centers work. We also have a concept called platforms, wherein we feature the content of other people, or it could be targeted towards a particular audience. So for example, we have a platform called Indic Book Club, which features books and promotes books. We have a platform called Indic Today, which is a commentary platform. We have a platform called Indica Yoga, which is focused on yoga. We have a platform called Advaita Academy, which is focused on Vedanta. Now we have a platform called iGen Plus, which is focused on children, K-12 children. Indica Pictures is also a platform. And Indica Pictures falls into that strategy of promoting a particular medium. Films are a medium, just like we are promoting books, films are also a medium. Our journey in Indica Pictures started 2 years ago, wherein we started actually producing ultra short films. And we did about 135. We had a curator, Gayatri Iyer, who did that, and another curator, Chitra Iyer. So they produced about 135 films. And then it was just, it was there, we're just trying to see how to scale this and what should we do. Then Danji, who is a very old friend of mine from the last 40 years, he reached out and said that, look, why don't we do a film Utsav? Of course, he didn't really know much about Indica Pictures, but he just said, let's do a film Utsav. And that's when I said that, look, it's time for a rebirth of sorts of Indica Pictures. And let's not just focus only about a film Utsav alone while we start with that, but take Indica Pictures into a Sundance kind of an institute for independent filmmakers. So we sort of redrew our purpose as to how shall we create this platform. And so largely our objective of Indica Pictures is to become an Indic Sundance for independent filmmakers to do three things: to promote our cultural heritage, to make films about our cultural heritage, right? Second thing is we have to make films to target global audiences. While Bollywood is famous all over the world and all that, but really we have not really penetrated to the global audiences. There's still very, very, it's targeted mostly at the NRI market as opposed to global audiences. Only recently we have opened up in China and those kind of things. So really, our stories need to target the global audiences. Lastly, we have to use our films, and the films themselves. Of late, we are finding films fairly. Then there's something not right in the way the narrative is structured and how films are subtly being used. So we need to advance diversity and inclusivity in the society, and films are the good medium for that. Currently, films may be used otherwise, but it is important to advance diversity and inclusivity in our society. And therefore, these are the three objectives of Indica Pictures. And in time to come, we have already now produced two films on yoga, which have more than 10 million views to celebrate the Yoga Day. We're now producing a film on Ayurveda to celebrate the Ayurveda Day. So these are our initiatives to produce shorts and ultra shorts. We would also be looking at giving grants to for features and documentaries for research purpose. We may not be able to fund the production costs, but at least the conceptual phase of features and documentaries which promote and stand by our values we will be supporting. And we want to look at nurturing filmmakers. And we want to nurture filmmakers through various mechanisms: workshops, master classes, events, and other things. And lastly, we want to feature screenings and film festivals. We want to feature them and give them a platform. So in a way, we want to be, there's a demand, there's a demand, there's a pull, and there's a push. So films is a very good example of how we think about and say, okay, the market wants this, and therefore we are pushing this. They need a dance, they need an item number, they needed this. This was the producer thinks, and then he pushes that. And then the market doesn't want it. So who takes the risk? So we want to be that in-between platform wherein there is a balance between the push and the pull, and enable thinkers to experiment and take risks, enable filmmakers to take risks. So that's the broader objective of what we mean about filmmakers and independent filmmakers. That's what Sundance has been very good in doing. There's a big Bollywood, there's a big Hollywood studio culture, but there's an independent culture that is parallelly grown. And now we see a lot of independent filmmakers being successful.
Yeah, no,
So that is our objective
what
broadly.
you said
Danji,
about,
I just want, can I say something other?
I was
Just
coming
one.
on only. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Dimple. Yeah.
No, so what I wanted to say is that from what you said about your centers and platforms, I'm not speaking about Indica Pictures per se. It seems that you mentioned preservation, protection, and promotion. So would it be right to extract from this that while your centers are largely focused on preservation and protection, the platforms are being used for the promotion element of it?
Absolutely, because we feature others' content, and therefore that would be the primary thing. Like we have a software mag, so we're promoting our culture through that. So absolutely right.
And you said that generally producers have a thought when they want to push it into the marketplace, and then whether or not it succeeds depends on what the demand is. So using that segue, I'd want to ask Danji as to does Indic Film Utsav have a special slant in terms of the content? You've called it Indic Film Utsav, but what exactly does it mean? Is it only for people who have inclination towards Indic content, or is it for the whole world, but you want to show certain nuances which are generally not displayed through our movies?
Very good question, actually, Dimple. So how do we define Indic, right? I mean, that's the first question, right? I think it's very difficult to define Indic because Indic belongs to India, and India is a very it's a very complex, diverse, and very deep, profound entity. Right? It's got a 5,000-year history. I mean, all that is. I don't want to go into all that stuff, but it's tough to say. Tough to say what is Indic. Let me give you an example. Right? There's a film called Kotanodi. It's by a gentleman called Bhaskar Hazarika. It's an Assamese film. It's a horror film.
Wow.
It's a set of 4 stories that come together. They're all Assamese grandmother tales, which the grandmothers would tell these stories to their kids to make sure they behave, right? I think that's Indic because it's rooted in Indian mythology or fable, right?
Right.
So every single movie that we curated into our festival has an Indic aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty broad. It's pretty broad. You know, there is a film about Polish refugees during World War II
Wow.
that came to India, and India was the only country that gave them, a refuge. Right? So they came here and lived here. There's a film about it. So it's a Polish film. I mean, it's about Polish people, but it has an Indic aspect to it because it reflects that our ethos, right? So I don't know whether that answered the question, but that's how I would respond to, kind of provide a background to how much of Indicness is there in Indic Film Utsav.
So when you called for entries, were there any categories that you had specified, or was it open to everybody for any genre? Adit, you wanted to say something?
I was going to summarize this one line and say that basically Indic in this sense doesn't mean films about India, but about Indianness. And that could be made. And that is never was the term young country and old civilization true than it is now, because a lot of Indian films may not have been made with the most path-breaking technology that is being used in the West, but their ethos and their hearts were in the right place, which made for compelling viewing. So, and that's sort of, what my takeaway from the lineup, what I read about it and what we've talked so far, that's my key takeaway. But yes, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Danji. Go ahead with your answer.
Yeah. So the other example I wanted to provide is a film called Infinite Potential. It's about David Bohm, who's a quantum physicist, right? Very famous. A gentleman called Paul Howard made this film. The reason it's part of our slate is because David Bohm was hugely influenced by Advaita philosophy.
Mhm.
He was a disciple for Jiddu Krishnamurti. They had a 25-year-long relationship.
Uh-huh.
So, and everything that David Bohm talks about is Advaita. It's an American film. It's made by Paul Howard. It's made for an American audience. It's about David Bohm, but it found a place in our lineup because there is Indicness to it.
Indeed. True. So how many languages did you have entries in? Because Adit mentioned that there will be languages, and Hariji also talked about it. So
And as we get closer to the end, I'm also going to show just the list in the lineup of it. I have it pulled up, so not taking away, but please go ahead with your answer, and then I'll show it.
I mean, we didn't plan to determine that. That was a natural flow. I mean, you're in India, and you're bound to be receiving films from all over the country. We received 850 films.
wow.
Many of these films came from uh, you know tiny parts. I mean, tiny corners of the country. Like, for example, we picked a film called "In the Land of Poison Women." Intriguing title, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a movie that is in the Pangchenpa language, which is a dialect in Arunachal Pradesh that's spoken by only 5,000 people.
Wow.
So we got a film called Ghamak Ghar, which is a Maithili language film.
Mm.
Beautiful, beautiful film. Everybody should see. It'll touch your heart. Okay. So there are plenty of films. I mean, there's a film called The Incredible Boogans. It's about a bird, but again, it's from Arunachal Pradesh. But it's about a bird and the tribe that also goes by the same name as the bird, which is Boogan, and the language is also called Boogan.
Mm.
There are Tamil films, the Telugu films, the Kannada films. There's Hindi. There's Tibetan film. There's a film that has Dalai Lama in it. So we have about, I think recently we discovered that the one film actually has Hindi and Kapadia.
Mm.
So now that makes it 19 different languages. We were previously talking about 18 languages. Now it's 19 languages, including English, of course.
And
So yeah,
let me introduce another Indic concept which I specified first. This you can watch these at no cost, guys. So don't worry about a very famous question that Indians pose to each other. How much? But please consider supporting these causes. And you can ask them how you can support the cause. This is a fantastic cause you can support. And so if you like it, please do it. And if you have any questions, comments, write to them. They'll always, be eager to receive that. But Hari Kiran ji, before I want to bring you on a point you said. You said independent filmmakers, right? And but there is another concept also that Indic filmmakers faced in the West, which is the independence of the filmmaker. Because in many cases, those filmmakers are dictated by studios, associations, actors, and in many cases, preconceived biases about what is Indic, what works in the West, because we blame Bollywood for this. कि Bollywood में तो यही चलता है. In West also they do this, which is some sort of a Povertanian idea of India, and only that will work. So how do you sort of maintain that balance?
No, it's a long haul, Aadit. I mean, you've been now in five years now with mine, and 6 years probably.
Right.
So this narrative change these kind of biases are not going to change overnight. We did several things. We did the Indic Thoughts Festival. Then, of course, we curated. I mean, we contributed and incubated the first Pondicherry Lit Fest. So now you have Lit Fests that are there, and then you have other kind of events that are happening, right? So and you see the kind of response that is there. So there's a latent demand that is there that's being met. It's not that suddenly we have created these things. That means it's already there. That consciousness is already there. So I'm an eternal optimist. So I'm sure Achedin will come.
I'm going to sort of show our folks the diversity that is there in the film festival. And mind you, guys, this wasn't planned at all. But we were talking, off the record, and we just I was curious about how many languages there are there. So, I mean, just take a look, guys. Like this is the I'm on the Indica Pictures website, so most of you can see it. Please do visit it. Look at the lineup, right? This is the Ghamak Ghar that Danji was just talking about a few minutes ago, and then you have the children films, short films.
Can I interrupt you here?
Please.
If you just click on the festivals and show that, then you will have click on the festivals on the top. Yeah. If you click on that, then all the categories and all the films. Yeah. So now those two are the two opening night, and then if you click on feature films, and then you can just. Yeah, you can see there are 12 Danji, 12 feature films.
12 features, correct.
Yes.
So, I mean, if we can go a little slow, maybe I can just quickly touch upon some of these films.
Right.
Timiram. I mean, Timiram is a Malayali film, beautiful film. I mean,
by the way, I just want to interrupt. Danji watched all the 800 films.
All the 800 films.
Yeah.
So I have
he has to watch it.
Yeah. I'm a film buff. I watch a film. My claim to fame is that I watch a film every night.
Right.
Oh,
Sometimes more than one. But this was like it took the cake because they were of course we had a team. I mean, there were a bunch of people and we saw a lot of films.
Absolutely. And so I'm going to skim through every category a little bit so you can talk, because we have like 10-15 minutes and we won't be able to go through every single film.
Yeah. But let me point out one film because of the genre. I mean, I thought it's important. If you can go up a little bit. So that one, that right. Shona, the black and white, okay. Shona Jhurir Bhu is a Bengali film.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a ghost film. It's a horror thriller. It's very Indic. The reason I bring it up is it talks about polymorphs, the concept of a polymorph, which is so embedded in Indian ethos, right? Bahumukhi, or there's so many names to it. So it's a great film. I mean, just wanted to point out that film. Yeah, just a point. Talk about the Indicness of the film that curated here.
Fascinating.
Should we go through the document?
Right. Yeah, go ahead. I know it'll take a lot of time if I cover everything, but yeah.
No, but I want you to.
How many documents?
Yeah, you should talk about any specific document.
Any specific
Wonderful
that our people should.
Yeah. So on the right you have Dhulpet Ganesha. So Dhulpet Ganesha is a Telugu film. It's about a place called Dhulpet in Hyderabad, which is infamous. Dhulpet is where the illegal arak gets made. But it's about how the community every year puts together a Ganesh festival and the challenges they have to go through to raise the money and the bickering that happens between them. But ultimately they pull it off, So it's a wonderful movie about a marginalized community.
Fantastic. And then of course there is the Blood Buddhas, which are many of our viewers would be aware of because we've done shows with Anurag about Blood Buddhas before, and about what his mission is and stuff.
I want to talk about a film that you just browsed up a little bit. If you just go down a little bit. So, In the Fire of Dancing Stillness. This is a film that I'll take a bet that a lot of us wouldn't know who that lady is in that picture. It's a lady called Vimla Thakur. Have you heard of her?
I must confess I have not.
So Vimla Thakur, I mean, I'll leave it there because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people should see it.
Absolutely.
You know who Vimla Thakur.
And guys, I apologize, I'm not able to fit in the screen, but unfortunately the way our recording screens have been set up, I can't accommodate. But I would urge everyone to go to Indica Pictures and look at all these names, and you only have to wait 4 days to see all the films. So, and if you guys watch every single film that is out there, please write to Hari Kiran ji and Danji that we have enthusiasts who can match, the viewing time that you guys have
And
spent into this.
perhaps they could even write movie reviews for Mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would love that. I would
Yeah.
love that. So we have a very active social media strategy. So every film starting the 12th, once it starts screening, people can, so every film, there's a little icon for Facebook and Twitter, and they can click on it to take them to their own Facebook page, and it will show the film, and they can type in a few lines to express what they felt about the movie.
Absolutely. Plus Minus is another fantastic film. I actually introduced that film to a friend last night because on YouTube. I'm not making it up. And he, because we were talking about that area of Sikkim, because my wife had been there, and I don't want to spoil anything for our viewers because it starts on one note and goes completely on another one. But that just tells you the diversity of the documentaries here, from you have the New Moon to a military based sort of documentary and stuff like that. So I have to ask you this before, and now I'm going to switch our views to our regular gallery view so that people can see us discuss this. Was there any specific thoughts in mind that you have to hit certain categories, or was it just you looked at the documentary short films and said, okay, these are the best ones, we're going to feature them, we're not going to be pressured into thinking that though is topic pe ho gayi, so we'll not take two others of the same topic even though they're as good? Was there sort of a pressure?
There was. We could only program because obviously there's the law of balancing, right? You have to balance the festival, and it's only a finite number of days we have. And we can't have an unending festival. We have to have a compact festival. The value proposition is very, very clear that you have to go there for the 4 days and that's it, right? After the after 4 days have elapsed, there isn't, the festival is not available. So you're able to accumulate interest and make it focus towards the 4 days. So in that sense, yes, we have several films that we could not program. We wish we think they were different, but we picked 85 films out of 850, and that was a huge challenge. But there were so many other films that we wish we could have programmed, but we couldn't.
Absolutely. So Hari Kiran ji, any specific thoughts on this as well? Like what you wanted? Because I'm sure that when the festival was conceived, you probably, I don't know if you had this exact structure in mind, exact themes in mind. So did you visualize this happening?
Not at all. See, and this reinforces my basic objective is find that nut. Danji is a nutcase. So find that nutcase, and then the work will happen. So all the platforms that we have, they're all passionate about a particular this thing. For example, Vijayalakshmi Vijay Kumar is very passionate about our culture. So everybody is passionate about a particular aspect of our culture. And if you just enable and empower them, then all these things will happen. There's magic. This is what you're seeing today is a magic that has unfolded, unthought of. I'm not sure whether Danji thought about it, but it is unthought of. And I want to just talk about, and he's assembled, if you just share the screen and if you just go, he has assembled an international team. And, so he's worked, there's an independent team of 5 people who are slogging, very hard to make this a success. So it's truly a global festival in that sense. And I want to add one more aspect in terms of a vision, is that, yeah, please share. You see, you have Christian Frost. He's actually he's a Bollywood nut. He comes every year and spends time with Amir Khan and all these people, and all of them are crazy. Nikita is she's a film director. Bhaskar is very passionate. All of them are very passionate, and this is a very international group. But I want to, you can stop the sharing. I want to leave one thought, is that next year, the vision is that you will have an opening night in Los Angeles, a closing night in Singapore, and in between one evening in London. That's the kind of a vision that Indica Pictures will have. It will be a truly global festival, because in Houston you will have a film festival, in Toronto there's a film festival. There are film festivals and film festivals, but Indica Film Festival, Indic Film Utsav, will be a global film itself with all over the world. That is the vision, and it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
I totally believe when Hari Kiran says that, because I mean, there is so much proof that what he says he does, right? We have seen that.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to do a little segue on what he said, and that is the fact that we are an online festival. Though even though it sounds pretty simple and it sounds more like a technology, it isn't. There are a couple of key aspects to it that we have to recognize. In a regular festival, if I want to watch a film, I would go drive to the theater, buy a ticket, and sit in the theater and watch it, right? And it could be any type of film, right? In an online festival, we are actually beaming straight to somebody's home. So there is no way to control if there's going to be a child in that room watching. So our films, we made sure that every single film a family can watch. There is no nudity, there is no violence, there is none of the darkness in our festival. And so that's an important thing. The second important thing is, with streaming becoming such a powerful model for content delivery, I think we are right on track. We are one of those festivals that has completely, our DNA is online. You know, we have the DNA of an online festival, which is, and so we built everything from scratch on that concept. I just want to make sure I mention those two things.
I just had a question. Probably we just want to summarize.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is Indic only going to be focusing on festivals, annual, or probably at a periodicity, or is there more to Indica Pictures than just festivals, be it online or offline?
Yeah.
So Hari Kiran did talk about it, and go ahead, Hari Kiran.
Our idea, our idea is to do nurture. Nurture is one very crucial aspect. And in that nurturing part, we would be doing workshops, master classes, courses. So that part would start. I'm just waiting for Danji to finish the festival before I will start talking about those things. So that is a very crucial aspect of nurturing. So if you look at the website, we talk about the seed, nurture, and nourish. So a typical flair for all these kind of things. The seed is what I was talking about, funding the shorts and ultra short production, which is we can do more, and funding the research. See, for example, if I want to make a documentary, and he was talking about this small language in this thing, I'm sure you must be thinking, why can't we do an in Sharda script, right? With the temple, and if you want to make a documentary there and send a team to POK and all that, there's a research element that has to be funded, and we would be happy to do that. So that's the seed aspect. The nurture aspect is to encourage filmmakers to think about global audiences and global way of communicating. That is the thing. And the nourish aspect is, of course, the Film Utsav and screenings. We have done screenings before. So there's a very interesting and easy way in terms. I want to just leave a thought. If somebody from any of these multiplexes watch this, I want to say this simple, accounting concept is that if PVR or any of these multiplex chains, they have a corporate social responsibility, right? They make money and they have a 2% of their corporate social responsibility. I'm asking to them saying that, look, please give us the money and we will give it back to you as a theater rent so that we will feature good films in the multiplexes. So it's just an accounting entry. You're not losing out anything. You're giving me money. I'm paying it back to you as movie hire, as a hall hire, and I will show it. So imagine if we are able to show in a multiplex, the timings may be odd, but if we show all these films across India, across the world in multiplexes, it's just a simple thing. It's an entry.
Absolutely. And on a very lighter note, Hari Kiran ji, if you send a documentary team to shoot the Sharda documentary in POK, it might have to be accompanied with another team. But that is a discussion for another podcast, not for a film.
Idea, a sankalpa we can have.
नहीं ये माइंड का कीड़ा है ना, तो जर्नलिस्ट का दिमाग चला जाता है. So even when you say, the minute you mention some geostrategic issue, that kicks in. But in closure, I would like to, and I'm coming to closing comments for closing comments with everyone. Normally we have a tradition on Mind podcast that we always recommend a non-political thing, which could be a book, it could be a movie, it could be a place, something interesting you read. I don't think I can do better than recommending 85 films that have been already shortlisted by the team. So go watch it and let us know what you guys think. But before that, I leave you with that, I want to come to all of you for closing comments. So Danji, what is the one message you would like to send to the viewers, the viewers that are going to come now, the viewers that are anticipating, and the viewers that are expecting more after? What's the message you would give them?
Yeah. So if this festival can create a seed, like Hari Kiran was talking about, for a set of filmmakers to believe that you can make a film that has an Indic aspect to it, a little bit more explicitly also. And that's what I'm saying, I mean, a lot of Indicness is implicit, but if a filmmaker can feel comfortable looking at this festival and saying, I'm now going to make a film that is set in 4th century Kerala with Ayurveda as a background and a Sherlock Holmes kind of character, there's a murder in the village, right? Why not? I mean, that if somebody can be encouraged to make a film like that, which is entertaining, commercial, has a return on investment, but it's Indic in nature, right? So I hope, and I really look forward to filmmakers feeling encouraged that there's a platform for them, that there's a festival for them, that they can make films and showcase them in a way that is a win-win for the filmmaker, for the audiences also.
Dimple, I'll come to you next, and then I'll come to Hari Kiran the last.
Well, it was very enriching attending this discussion. So thank you, Aadit and Mindmakers, for including me. That's one. Second, I sincerely pray and hope that the two sankalps that Hari Kiranji just took was one about the global festival and second about the PVR owners kind of using their CSR to help disseminate Indic thoughts across the world. That comes true. And second, I would urge people, not just viewers or audience of cinema, but aspiring filmmakers, people involved in the entire value chain of creating a movie, a documentary, etc., to visit Indica Pictures and bookmark the website, because I think it's going to be a very important repertoire for them. So, and I wish you both the very best. Hariji.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I mean, I'm already thinking about the next event, so I want to talk 1 minute about that. Is that the next event would be we're trying to create a new genre called cultural photography. Fashion photography, all those things, cultural photography, and we want to hold the next festival of photography festival, Indic Photography Festival. We will encourage everybody to shoot our cultural icons, and and then that would be the next thing that Danji will be looking at in say February or so. So we are very excited. I'm telling you, pictures, books, commentary, talks, all that is fine. But if you want to make an impact, films, visual medium is very, very important. I want to appeal to all of you to think about this.
We all come from a culture of Vada and Vivada, so let these inspire a lot of discussions. If you agree, let them know. If you disagree, let them know. Even with a stronger opinion. Yeah, Danji wants to make one last point. I'll come to him first, and then yeah.
Yes. And I wanted to, so we are releasing a sneak peek
Hmm.
of Indic Film Utsav, a 90-second video. And I was thinking, what best platform would there be but to show it on this program?
Oh, lovely.
If you
Brilliant.
want to let me share my screen, I can play it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will, I will. Is it possible for you to share it right now or no?
You
Yeah,
have to
I,
listen
can,
first.
I have it open. I just
Please
have to hit.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go right ahead. I
So
think
the premiere of the Indica teaser is here online.
It's still not allowing me to
now you
share
can.
this.
I just enabled
Okay,
all.
now I can. Now I can do it. Okay, just 1 second.
And but guys, by the time you'll be listening to this, viewing this, it'll be about 10th, 11th ish, and 12th is when the Indic Film Utsav starts. So it's this is the preview that you'll see a little bit before. So here it goes.
Are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to just 1 second. I have to share the sound also. Are you able to hear the sound through the?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, let me just play it then. Okay.
Nice.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, this is going out tomorrow morning. I mean,
This is a collage of montage of all the from the films being featured.
Absolutely. And then by the time you watch this on YouTube, this would have been out on YouTube, but you can get a preview here. Also, I have to tell everyone, this is on Zoom. And if it's a little slower on the internet side, guys, please don't hate us. We'll include the YouTube link of the original teaser here as well. So you guys will be able to see this. But it's a beautiful teaser. It's a beautiful teaser. And a lot of you guys are going to be listening to this on SoundCloud. Please visit the Mindmakers YouTube page so you can see the video as well. On SoundCloud, you just might have heard like the wonderful music for 1.5 minutes, but please do check it out on YouTube. But thank you so much for sharing. And this has been truly a fascinating discussion. Appreciate you guys not only joining us, but putting this together. And I mean, I can't even imagine कि अगर शुरुआत ये है तो what all amazing things we can expect in the years to come, months to come. But thank you both so much, Hari Kiran ji and Danji, for joining us today. And
And
thank
all
you,
the best.
thank you, Dimple, for hanging around always. And here's to many more discussions. Maybe we'll have a discussion, a follow-up discussion after the Utsav, and after you guys have a chance to have about 15,000 breathers and a few hours of sleep. That about what it like and stuff. But once again, from mine, guys, please listen, please register. We'll put the links below. We'll tweet them out as well. Write to us. Follow us on Twitter. Follow Indic Academy on Twitter. Like on Facebook, and as they said, the pages of the Indic Film Festival are also very social media friendly. So whatever you feel about the films, do tweet it out, do put it on Facebook. So with that, this is Aadit Kapadia signing off for this week. We'll be back next week with a lot more. Stay tuned on Mind Makers.
Namaste.